Hey, what's going on everyone? So along with Ram's new gear and Divine Diabolos, Machina also got his LD extension as the LD on the second banner. I got his LD during his Lost Chapter banner, so with his extension here, I purpled him. If you want to know what this Gurren Lagann wannabe does, what he offers to a team, and what I think of him, stick around and find out. Machina is a fast physical attacker who has great skill longevity and an ability to keep turn count low along with instant turn rate moves. With his skill 2 and his EX, he has a decent amount of HP damage return, and with his EX buff, he not only gains regen, but he also gains a brave damage counter when attacked. With his LD, he gains a debuff that grants him a follow-up attack when attacking an enemy afflicted with it, greatly improving his damage output against any number of targets. His skill 1 is Awakening, a 2-hit HP attack with instant turn rate. This will give Machina a buff of the same name, which boosts his attack, max bravery, and speed. With it active, he gets enhanced basic attacks, his Brave Plus gaining a second hit, and his HP attack is changed into Furious Blades, a 4-hit HP attack. If you're breaking or attacking broken with either Awakening, Furious Blades, or his Brave Plus, it's given a plus form for one use, which has overflow and will not increase turn count. His skill 2 is Cyclone Drive, a 6-hit HP attack with 30% HP damage return afterwards. This skill has higher potency when breaking or attacking broken. His EX is Guardian Blades, at base a 6-hit group attack with single target HP damage. This move has 30% HP damage return and grants Machina a buff of the same name, which raises his max bravery, grants him regen, lowers his brave damage taken, and will counter any attacks on him with 2 brave hits. The EX Plus is surprisingly minimal, like each of these upgrades is super short in description. However, Machina is honestly not that hard, and these simple upgrades help him out with how often his EX cast is up. Realization boosts the potency and overflow, and considering it's a group attack, that's quite needed. 1 ingot is a stat boost, making him a useful budget unit, but we're talking about a full potential Machina here. 2 ingots gives him starting Awakening, which is nice but is kinda muddled by his LD, which I'll explain next. 3 ingots is identical to his 1 ingot boost. Seriously, it's just the same passive with a 2 attached to it. His LD is Stunning Slash, and this and Ram's LD are the first ones coming with LD extensions, so I'll be describing it and all future LDs in my videos with their extension details. The attack is a 3-hit group attack with split HP damage, followed by a 5-hit group attack also with split HP damage. This has instant turn rate, and at the start of the cast applies Spiral's Linchpin, a speed debuff. If Machina attacks a target with it afflicted on his turn, he does a follow-up attack, so the LD on cast will also trigger it. He first self-batteries based on attack, then does a 4-hit group attack with split HP damage and 30% HP damage return. He will trigger the follow-up even from his brave attack, but that's not really worth it since with the HP damage return along with Guardian Blades, you're not in too much danger anyways. The cast gives Machina a free skill on his next turn and also gives him Piercing Power, which raises his attack and his stolen overflow. The LD passive raises his max bravery and attack. Machina is fast and has a good number of attacks and skill usages in his kit. He can help keep turn count low, has good regen and self-battery, and his follow-up attack improves his damage in all scenarios. His skill 1 is a good turn manipulation tool and has extra longevity thanks to his LD giving free cast, which is how I personally use it. His skill 2 and EX both have fantastic HP damage return, which of course only further boosts the power of his LD follow-up. I just wish the EX had a second HP hit, like seriously, 6 group hits but only 1 single target HP attack, that's kinda terrible nowadays. His LD in its base form is good for him, like he was my main damage unit for the ultimate Bahamut Lufenia and he worked out great with the way I was supporting him, but the extension basically just makes him more efficient with all parts of it. 2 attacks for the cast, applying the debuff at the start so he gets follow-ups immediately, and the attack self-battery combined with his good regen along with any other offensive or regen buffs, such as those from his banner opposite Ramza or Farian, keep his damage numbers high as the fight goes on. But of course, it's not like Machina is without fault. Even with his LD extension, he's not totally self-sufficient when it comes to dealing damage. His regen and self-battery are sizable, sure, but his potencies outside of his EX and LD aren't that great. His follow-up potency especially still isn't that great, even with the extension. Low shave is balanced by big regen, that is a valid point, but Machina is supposed to be a primary damage unit. He shouldn't be getting the majority of his bravery via regen in my opinion. He highly feels the effects of brave damage reduction right now, even with all the attack he gains within his kit, and to capitalize most on Furious Blades and his follow-up, he wants support via straight brave damage up or possibly an enchant to hit weakness. Wow, you know, that reminds me of someone else who's not doing so hot right now. With him getting his update now, Machina obviously suffers from being somewhat of a guinea pig for LD extensions and calls as a whole. He honestly could use both a core rework and an LD extension rework, something that has occurred with Eldnarsh getting an extension rework when he got his burst, after his Lost Chapter and initial LD release. For a core rework, something like another 2 hits to Awakening would be nice, mostly to give it more shaving potential. Meanwhile, for Cyclone Drive, I'm honestly not sure because the attack just has no problems really. It doesn't do a lot, but it also doesn't have any problems. More overflow to both forms of Furious Blades would be nice, as while it's possible I'm not playing Machina that well, I'm finding myself actually using that attack a lot compared to his skills. I also think they should broaden the condition to get Furious Blades Plus to just be any of his attacks, basically letting him cut his counted turns in half, but I suppose that's more so a fight specific thing if they chose to give it a super tight turn limit. They've also hinted at the possibility of EX reworks, and once that time finally comes, yes, please give Machina at least a second HP attack in his EX, possibly also an HP conversion in his counter, similar to what Cloud of Darkness got with her LD. As for a rework of his LD extension, the core part to work with here is the debuff. Similar to what I asked for in my Furion video, I think they should add some form of direct damage up to the debuff. As it is right now, it's just a speed down debuff for anyone who isn't Machina, so the LD call version kinda sucks. If they want to approach it the other way and boost Machina instead, then he does have that piercing power buff from his LD, possibly also some more duration on the debuff depending on how cleanse heavy bosses are. So yeah, that's a purple Machina. Machina is honestly very fun to use. He's not too complicated and his damage output is good but not great. Also, I don't know, his animations and skills just feel satisfying. He technically does the best against a single target, but is capable against multiple targets, thanks to his EX somewhat and his LD especially, but he does lose some single target damage in that scenario. While his follow-up is good in terms of boosting damage and his regen is good for keeping HP damage up, he isn't what I currently call self-sufficient in terms of doing high brave numbers. What's more, characters who constantly get turns are sometimes liabilities for Lufenia fights if they either can't affect the countdown or can't DPS race the countdown, so you have to pick your fights and teams for Machina wisely. His numbers in Divine Diablos look good, but you have to remember everyone is boosted in World of Illusions. If you like this character breakdown and want to see others like it, other Opera Omnia content, or want to share your thoughts, be sure to stick around and subscribe. Discussion, likes, and shares are always appreciated, and as always, thanks for watching and I hope to see you again.